If this was a scary movie, Tony Ferguson would be that guy.
He's El Cucuy. Tony does stuff to people, and he doesn't get tired.
Training. That's his secret weapon. Because he fucking loves it. He wants to train all day.
It's Tony time!
In the world of mixed martial arts, few names evoke the blend of awe and respect quite like Tony Ferguson. For true MMA fans, Tony is the example of a great fighter. He earned all the respect in the MMA community, but it wasn't an easy path. There were serious injuries, canceled fights, life-changing losses, and hard times. But Tony's spirit never wavered. In his prime, Tony Ferguson was a fan favorite known for his unique style. He was a unique fighter, excelling in striking, wrestling, and had a brutal ground game. Nicknamed El Cucuy for a reason, he was feared for leaving his opponents battered after every match. Despite his wide-ranging skills and being famous with his punching power, Ferguson's roots were in wrestling. He made his mark as a state champion and carried that same fervor to college, where he continued wrestling and learning, always pushing to improve. Tony Ferguson's transition into MMA began after college, but it was his participation in The Ultimate Fighter that really put him on the map. It was the 13th season of TUF, where Brock Lesnar and Junior Dos Santos were coaching the teams. Tony was the member of Lesnar's team and learned a lot during his TUF journey from him. Even though he's famous in the lightweight division, Tony was fighting in the welterweight during TUF. And after earning 3 victories via TKO, he earned his place in the finals against Ramsey Nijem and defeated him via first-round knockout, which guaranteed him a place in the UFC and TUF welterweight champion status. After winning The Ultimate Fighter, El Cucuy chose to fight in his natural weight class and shifted to the lightweight division. This move marked the start of a new chapter. In 2011, not only did he fight 4 times in TUF, but he also stepped into the UFC ring twice, securing victories in both bouts. However, 2012 brought a tough challenge. Tony faced his first ever defeat in the UFC against Michael Johnson, but it wasn't just the loss that was tough. During the fight, he sustained a serious injury. He fought bravely with a broken arm, a testament to his spirit, but it meant a long and difficult recovery before he could return to the octagon. It hurt like hell. It was like shrapnel in the arm. Any other given man probably would have quit, he said. When you break your hand, it's different. You can fight through it. You know it's going to go numb. You've got elbows. But when you're fighting with a broken arm, it's a whole different mental attitude. Mental toughness, I call it. After his defeat and recovery, El Cucuy returned to the ring in about 16 to 17 months, ready to carve his name in history. He went on an incredible winning streak of 12 consecutive victories, claiming the interim lightweight championship along the way. Despite being the most deserving contender for the undisputed title, fate wasn't kind to Tony. Numerous fight cancellations, especially the much-anticipated match against Khabib Nurmagomedov, which was scheduled 5 times to no avail, kept him from that ultimate goal. Tony's first shot at the UFC title came against Kevin Lee at UFC 216 in 2020. Meanwhile, the reigning champion Conor McGregor was inactive. He fought in boxing against Floyd Mayweather and eventually was stripped of the title in the UFC. Despite many fans hoping to see a fight between the Irishman and El Cucuy, it was never officially scheduled. However, a much-anticipated match between Khabib Nurmagomedov and Tony Ferguson was on the cards for UFC 223. Tony was gearing up for what could have been one of the most significant fights of his career against Khabib. Yet, in a twist of fate, a simple accident at a media event led to a catastrophic knee injury for Tony, tearing his fibular collateral ligament. This severe injury not only pulled him from the headline bout, but also put him on a difficult path to recovery. Meanwhile, the UFC scrambled to find a suitable replacement for the fight. They considered Anthony Pettis, but couldn't agree on the financial terms. Max Holloway was next in line, but the UFC medical team ruled him out due to the health risks associated with cutting weight quickly. Paul Felder was another possibility. But in the end, Khabib fought Al Iaquinta. Khabib emerged victorious over Iaquinta by unanimous decision and claimed the championship. As Khabib celebrated his victory, Tony was left to focus on his recovery, determined to return to the octagon as soon as he could. Tony Ferguson showed remarkable resilience by foregoing traditional physical therapy and managing his recovery on his own. In just 8 months, he made a comeback, stepping into the octagon to face cowboy Donald Cerrone. Tony's determination paid off as he secured a victory in under 2 rounds, displaying his enduring skill and spirit. However, that victory over Cerrone turned out to be his last win in the UFC. The long-awaited fight between Coney and Khabib was scheduled yet again for the 5th time in 2020, but as the COVID pandemic swept across the globe, causing countries to close their borders, Khabib found himself unable to leave Russia for the fight in the US. Enter Justin Gaethje, who was brought in as a replacement to fight Tony for the interim title. Tony, prepared for a wrestler, found himself up against one of the division's hardest hitters and an exceptional striker. The fight was intense right from the start, with Tony even managing to drop Justin in the early round. However, as the fight progressed, the damage to Tony's face became increasingly severe. In the end, the referee Herb Dean had to step in and stop the fight in the 5th round, as Tony was visibly disoriented and unable to defend himself adequately, despite his refusal to give up. The fight marked a turning point in Tony's career, showcasing both his incredible toughness and the unpredictable nature of the sport. From a winning streak of 12 fights, Tony Ferguson's journey turned tough with 7 straight losses, with the latest one being against Paddy Pimblett. He faced all kinds of defeats, from being outpointed to getting knocked out hard by Chandler, and even getting choked out by Bobby Green and tapped out by Nate Diaz. Despite the tough times, Tony's impact on MMA is huge. He was known for his special way of fighting, especially his sharp elbow strikes that no one wanted to face. He was famous for getting tougher the more the fight went on, but time catches up with everyone, and at 39, all those hard fights have started to show. It's not just about age, it's about the wear and tear from all of those fights. One of the biggest disappointments is that at UFC 229, Tony Ferguson and Khabib Nurmagomedov were both ready and healthy to fight, but they ended up fighting different people. This was the big event where McGregor came back to fight Khabib. Both Tony and Khabib were there, in good shape, and on the same card, but they never faced each other in the ring. It was a missed chance that left many fans wondering what could have been. What's next for Tony? More fights, more losses, or hanging up his gloves? The future isn't clear, but one thing is sure, he's already made his mark. He's known as a fearless fighter, always ready to take on any challenge. In his best days, he was like a legend in the ring, remembered by fans and other fighters as a true warrior of MMA. His story is one of courage, skill, and a fighting spirit that won't soon be forgotten.